Hello, trading is closed on Friday, September 17th, 2021. We always start with our disclaimers, so let's not disappoint anybody. It's my trading plan for Monday, September 30th. I can be completely wrong, and all trades should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low, which is here. Had a target 44.61.62 that printed, minor support right under the target. Just a reminder of what we said. Look for a weekday, which we got. Norwinski's back today. He's giving his change in trend dates and has a free offer. Monday's pattern, I believe, should have the early low, and we have some targets. 40.95. If we don't gap down smartly, that's my call. And ultimately, we should see 44.51.16. Early on, we got an ultimate buy signal. There's no time limit. Normally, you don't have to wait long. This drop here was called by the system to be unsustainable. Gives us a target of 44.40.95, most likely before Monday's close, but if we gap down, don't hold your breath waiting for the time. This line here is the 50-day moving average. This other line is a lower Bollinger Band. In the past, these things have offered support. Support was little in evidence today, obviously. This is a pattern which tends to be a rally pattern, has the early low, the late high. When there's early weakness, and or if it isn't a rally day, more weakness is coming. So unless you invalidate this by gapping and taking out this high early, which I think is hard to believe will happen, we should see lower prices. But that doesn't mean we see them tomorrow. Shouldn't have to wait long though. This big drop, we closed under these lows, but within the last 5 minutes, we were over these lows and even these lows. And breaking under it in the last few minutes doesn't really count. So for now at least, this drop didn't accomplish what it had to accomplish. Now it all could change Monday if we gap under these lows or gap and take these lows out fast. The drop can continue. But if not, this didn't accomplish what it had to accomplish. This is an important trend line. Has a lot of hits. We dropped to it but not through it. And the rule is either gap under the trend line or the trend line wins. Bears need to gap under today's low or else there could be a rebound. Can't be too certain of what the count is, but I'm going to use this one. I think we've done brown A and brown B and we're in brown C. I don't think brown C is over. Doesn't have any relationship to brown A. So I do think lower prices are coming. But there is a relationship so far between the waves of brown C and the waves of brown A. Here's magenta A of brown A. It's exactly equal to magenta A, if that's what this is, of brown C. You look at A, black A, of magenta B, of brown C, compare it to this A, there's a good Fib relationship, 38.2. Then you compare B, it's another from here to here's another 38.2. So far there's a relationship based on the intermediate waves. And if it holds true, we should get a Black Sea, which has some kind of relationship to this Black Sea, which was a rally but didn't really last very long. Of course, that doesn't have to work, but it's working so far, and at least it's a plausible outcome. Monday's pattern has the early low we could gap up. The signals are mixed, so we use the mixed signals rules. It's negative. Today's normally bullish pattern was negative. Should lead to lower prices fairly soon. Only gapping and promptly overtaking today's high would invalidate the signal. I don't think that's going to happen. But a lot of bullish things are present. We gapped down, hit a lower low, closed over the midday lows, and the break of the week's prior low came too late to be valid. It's unlikely retail customers were doing buying on a strongly down Friday. It's also bullish as soon as regular trading hours closed, we tanked. It's unlikely professionals waited till after the close to dump stocks. This is the futures equivalent of a wall into the close. It's a sign of professionals not letting the market drop any further while they were around. And when they were around, when they weren't around, the market tanked, indicating they wanted to sell and there was no one left to buy the shares. It's also bullish. There was a huge volume spike in many indices. The spike in the E-mini wasn't that impressive, but you look at things like the NASDAQ and other stuff, there was a big volume spike, and that tends to indicate a dumping of stocks. And I'll tell you, a lot of the volume, if I read this right, came right at the end of the day, and that's not when professionals dump stock. If that's true, it should be recovering grand style Monday. It's also bullish. We have higher MEJT targets. Unless we gap down sharply, we should see the lower target at least, and maybe even the upper one. Bears need to gap under today's low and continue dropping to keep the momentum intact. Anything less than that should lead to a decent rally, although the down leg shouldn't be over and any rally wouldn't last long. One possible scenario, the one I really want to see but can't guarantee will happen, is to see lower lows printing in the overnight session when it's only the amateurs playing, with a complete recovery by the open, and that would trap them all at lower prices, forcing them to cover. If that happens, we could rally all day, even though eventually we're going to go lower than this. This is DeMark's sell signal right at the top. This one finally worked. If you're going to get a real tank, you go under this TDST line within 3 days. Clearly we haven't. So although we see lower prices, I don't see a complete collapse. There is support at and just under this line, 1 bar under it, and that's 42.1727. So it wouldn't surprise me if we traded under that level, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. So, Monday's pattern has the early low. We're going to see what happens at the open. Signals are mixed. If the decline's going to continue, we really should gap onto these lows and stay there. I think there's a good chance we get a recovery if that doesn't happen. Targets are 44.40.95 and ultimately 44.51.61. Any rally here is a place to consider re-entering on the short side, in my opinion, because I don't think this drops over, even though we don't have to drop every day. And that, my friends, is today's call.